What is up, my YouTube family? It is Lucid Oliver here today with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Kenshi, Gurgler's theory type of thing. But before I do get into it, I do want to talk a little bit about why I haven't uploaded in a bit. It's just that I am in my last 2 weeks of school, and finals are starting to come up. Everything's due by this Thursday, so I've been overloaded with a lot of work. But enough about my personal life. Let's just get into it. That's why, in case you guys haven't seen a video in a while, I haven't uploaded. But let's just get into the video. So, there are a lot of damn factions in Kenshi. There are a lot that we just don't even know a lot about, and then there's a lot that we do know a lot about. Like, we know a lot about the Skeletons, the Hivers, Holy Nation, big factions like that. But when it comes to smaller things like the Crab Raiders or the Tech Hunters, well, Tech Hunters are a little bit big, but like smaller factions like that, we just tend to not really know where they come from or what their lore is because there's just so little written on them. But there is one faction that hardly has been covered in Kenshi, and I don't think we've really even talked about it up until this point, which could probably play a huge role in Kenshi 2 if, they do decide to bring them into Kenshi 2, or if they're just a Kenshi 1 type of thing, is the Gurglers. The Gurglers are a fucking weird ass faction. Let's just put that out there. They are fucking weird. I do not like looking at them. I hate going to the Fisherman Island to collect that bounty on the, on the fucking Gurgler King. I think that's what his name is. I just hate it so much, and it fucking disgusts me, like, to look at their bodies. It's honestly, I'm body shaming them right now, but they just look horrible, and I always hate looking at them. But if you really do look at them and take a hard look at them, they really do look like they are failed experiments. And what I mean by that is you can look at a Hiver and you can kind of say, well, they could have been experimented something, or you can look at a, you can look at a Shek and tell that it is an experimented human that had been turned into a Shek, or a Greenlander that has been turned into a Shek. Like, there's certain like races that you can look at and you can be, are these like tested races? Like, did they experiment on them? And I want to throw something out there. I want to say that, during the Second Empire, the Skeletons, they tested on these Gurglers. And now, I don't know what animals they would test with or something like that, but just for the mere fact that if you really like look at a lot of the things, a lot of like, the game files and a lot of other things, you could really see that the First Empire was highly up more in the north, like where the Leviathan coast was and everything. And it could be just due to them barely finding this land and everything and all that. And this is a little bit more background information. So, when the First Empire came, they were mostly all in the north. It's less industrialized. It's a lot more research stuff up there, a lot more rare stuff that you can kind of find up there, right? But when you start going more towards the south of the map, like the middle to the south of the map, you start seeing more industrialized stuff and more like certain things to build stuff and everything. And I think that's where the Second Empire really comes from, because, First Empire is really, really high tech. And Second Empire is said to be a little bit more on the industrial side, if you get what I'm saying. So, thinking that it isn't them thinking that it is them is not far-fetched. But there is some things that kind of do point to this. So let me go to the first thing. So at Deadfish Village, where it's mainly there to contain the Gurglers. There's skeletons in the police barracks that do error codes, and if you're like a regular skeleton, they won't get mad at you. They will just look at you and let you kind of pass by. But if you're a non-skeleton, passing by, they will get mad at you and they'll shout this error code and they will kill you on sight. So that is really something that can really point towards them. They could be thralls, because really, if you look at it, there's no reason that a regular skeleton would be acting like that. So they could have been thralls programmed to keep everything contained. And, that is a very, very probable thing. And, Catalan isn't, foreign to the idea of making everybody his slave, making thralls. So it is a really huge possibility that they could be coded by skeletons to attack on sight with any like human or anything that isn't a skeleton. Because back then in the Second Empire, skeletons was dominant, and they could have just done anything they wanted. So This is pretty much my theory on them, is that they are failed experiments of the Second Empire that have now pretty much ran amok with laying around their nests and everything and overpopulating on the island. The good thing about the island though is that there's only a one-way bridge to there, so they really can't get onto the mainland unless they cross that bridge or unless they swim. I mean, we don't really know the full biology of them, but what we do know is that the Second Empire could have really played a huge hand in determining whether or not they actually experimented with them and they are failed experiments. But without further ado, that will conclude this video. I know it's a little bit on the short side, but there really isn't that much on the Gurglers. Like I said, this is one of the factions where there just isn't that much on them. But if you guys did enjoy, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and also join my Discord down below. That's where I hang out with a lot of my viewers and everything. And if you guys do want to join up, I'll leave the link in the description. But peace.